Today, we're counting up the bodies in Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, so let's bag them and tag them.
Leave anything for us?
A good supply of body bags.
Welcome back to the Movie Morgue, where we fill out the toe tags in cinema's body bags. I'm Josh, your movie examiner, and today we're examining Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, released in 2003 and directed by Jonathan Mostow. After the juggernaut that was Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
I remember seeing that at the theater it was playing at. The line was around the block.
We had an overwhelming response in this huge box office.
Easy money.
James Cameron had no intentions of sending another Terminator back for John Connor.
You couldn't imagine a better ending for the film. It is the right ending.
Plus, Cameron's career was kind of on a sinking ship by the time Rise of the Machines was greenlit.
I'm the king of the world!
And Schwarzenegger was hesitant to return if Cameron wasn't going to be attached.
Talk to the hand.
But Cameron gave him his blessing and said, ask for a ridiculous amount of money, which he did, and they paid. His salary was reported to be $30 million plus 20% of profits.
Good take. I love it.
And he certainly seemed to be a joy on set.
He likes to have fun.
Are you talking to me? Because you're John Connor.
He definitely has a good sense of humor.
All right, now into the series.
Linda Hamilton and Edward Furlong were asked to return, but Hamilton wasn't interested in the story, and Edward Furlong was having substance abuse issues. He was replaced by Nick Stahl, a relatively unknown actor at the time, having gotten recognition for his performance in Man Without a Face starring Mel Gibson. At the time, Rise of the Machines was the most expensive R-rated movie ever made. The film would feature over 600 special effects shots by the returning Industrial Light and Magic. Replacing Cameron would be Jonathan Mostow, director of U-571 and Breakdown starring Kurt Russell. And with the return of Stan Winston, they would give us Terminators we've never seen before.
In Terminator 3, we're building robots.
You get a little bit of the history of how all the Terminators have been created. What was the first model, which we've never really seen in any of the movies, the T1. I have never seen anything like this.
Great abs.
Rise of the Machines follows John Connor, 10 years after the events of T2, living life off the grid, and plagued with dreams about the future that never happened.
I can't erase my dreams, my nightmares.
Skynet sends their new and well-endowed TX to hunt down John and his lieutenants.
TX is faster, more powerful, and more intelligent. It's a far more effective killing machine.
A T-850 is sent back once again to protect John and his future wife.
What is your mission?
To ensure the survival of John Connor and Catherine Brewster.
John learns that Judgment Day was not prevented, only postponed.
Oh, great. That's great.
So he and the shell-shocked Kate accompany the T-850 on a road trip to try and stop the end of the world before it's too late.
Skynet has become self-aware. In 1 hour, it will initiate a massive nuclear attack on its enemy.
God, some machines are starting to take over.
What enemy?
Us! Humans!
But will the amount of body bags top the modest amount we got in Terminator 2? Leave your guess in the comments below. But for now, let's start the body count.
I'll order up some body bags.
We open with the most boring title reveal in the series thus far. Possibly some foreshadowing for the movie we're about to watch. We see an overhead shot of LA and a voice tells us, the future has not been written and there is no fate but what we make for ourselves as a nuclear bomb drops.
I wish I could believe that.
Our narrator is John Connor, who's now an adult and recaps the first 2 movies inaccurately.
They tried to murder me before I was born. When I was 13, they tried again.
False. See, Sarah was pregnant with you in 1984, which means she had you in 1985. The events from T2 took place in 1995, which means you were 10 or 11 at the most. If we're correcting mistakes, we should just send somebody back to erase this movie from existence. He tells us how he was going to be this great military leader, but then the day came and went with no Judgment Day.
We stopped Judgment Day.
But he keeps having nightmares about AI coming for his job and taking over the world. And little does he know his nightmare has now become a reality. He lives off the grid, sleeping under overpasses and driving his motorcycle recklessly. Hey, watch out for that deer!
You can't save the world in a body bag, dude. Is this guy made of paper?
We then cut to... That's where the TX wants to be. But let's make sure we black out all the TNA, okay? The Material Girl sees something she likes and says, gimme, gimme.
I like this car.
And we inventory our first body bag at the 7-minute mark. TX is played by Kristana Loken, star of Blood Rain.
That's all I got.
With a new car, new hair, and a new outfit, she connects to dial-up and downloads her list of targets. A cop stops her for driving all fast and furious, and then she takes a cue from Victoria's Secret and enhances her D's to double D's and tells the officer she really likes his piece.
I like your gun.
And I'll go ahead and toe tag Officer Hard-On here.
What?
Enter our stand-in for Sarah Connor, having trouble with a pesky machine.
I hate machines.
You're in the wrong movie, Juliet.
This is Kate Brewster. She's played by Claire Danes. We meet the man in her so-called life, fiancé Scott, as she takes a call from her father, Lieutenant Brewster. He's canceling their dinner date, meaning he's not going to get to meet her Jordan Catalano. Dad is in denial that his little girl is getting married.
And he's not the only one.
You're not the only one.
See?
See, Lieutenant Brewster is nursing a nasty computer virus that's wreaking havoc on civilian internet and military payroll. The Pentagon wants to use their new AI that they've been developing to seek and destroy the virus.
The most intelligent system ever conceived.
But Brewster would rather keep humans in the loop.
He's not sure Skynet is ready to launch.
A deleted scene expands on that revelation.
This isn't science fiction, it's reality, thanks to our top secret innovation, Skynet.
And shows us the individual that the T-800s were modeled after.
I'm Chief Master Sergeant William Candy.
I don't know about that accent.
We can fix it.
I'm a snag.
We then see the arrival of the T-850. He visits the Desert Star to get some clothes, but it's ladies' night and all options are inappropriate. Not a problem for the ladies, though. He lucks out when a stripper comes on stage, and he's a macho man.
Whoa, bitch! Wait your turn!
And then we get the stupidest dated joke in the script.
Your clothes.
Talk to the hand.
Now.
He tries out a new style of shades.
Nah, not really your style, man. I want to see the cut where he wore these for the entire movie. The superstar cut, maybe?
He steals a pickup truck, checks the time, and tries out another pair of shades.
There's our Terminator.
The TX is craving a murder burger, so she hits the drive-thru and orders a Jose Barrera meal. Then she takes it off the menu permanently. We then cut to some teenagers who are having a super virus party, and an unexpected guest kills the vibe and Bill and Elizabeth Anderson. What a party pooper. This is why we can't have nice things.
None of the party people are going in body bags, though. But don't worry, their time's coming.
Kate gets called into work for a kitty emergency. The cat's name here is Hercules, perhaps a reference to Arnold's first movie, Hercules in New York. And it just so happens Kate works at the animal hospital John broke into to treat his bike injuries. He stops her from calling the police at gunpoint,
but she doesn't think he's got the balls to shoot.
This is the stuff we use to chemically neuter dogs.
Think fast.
She disarms him and locks him in an animal cage.
Next time, bring a clue, not a paintball gun.
Kate recognizes John and she's like, I forgot that you existed. And she thought he had killed his parents, but he didn't.
I didn't do it.
Before they can recount the old days, Kate gets an unexpected customer. The Terminatrix puts down the cat lady, assuming it's Kate.
Catherine Brewster?
But a taste test determines otherwise.
No.
She looks around the facility for Brewster, but gets a taste of her primary target and then shows us her O-face.
Oh. You know what I'm talking about. Oh.
Kate makes a break for it, but the femme fatale catches up and says,
Surprise, motherfucker.
She makes the door ajar, then tosses Kate from the truck and asks where John is with her foot on her neck. Before she can answer, 850 rolls up and gives TX a lift back to the hospital. And he gives Kate a lift back to her truck. He then asks where John is, and she says she'll tell him if he lets her go.
Will you let me go?
Yes.
He agrees, and she directs him to the hospital. Then he grabs a crowbar.
You said that you'd let me go.
I lied.
Hey, wrong movie, Commando. Get out of here.
I lied.
That's the right one.
And locks her in the van. John shits himself when he sees a hybrid Terminator coming out of the wreckage. He breaks out of his cage and runs into a familiar face. Not sure whether to run or hug the cyborg, John asks, "Are you here to kill me?"
No, you must live.
The TX is fucking pissed, and 850 sends John away in Kate's truck. He gets some target practice with her, but the Decepticon transforms her arm into a plasma cannon and blasts him into a nearby garage as first responders arrive.
This guy weighs a ton.
She hacks into a police car and sends all the first responder vehicles into maximum overdrive, then takes a crane truck and goes after John and Kate herself. 850 comes back online in time to steal a cop's motorcycle and spins out in a callback to the first two movies. John realizes he has a passenger, and she's trying to give her Uber a negative review, but the app keeps crashing due to the network failing. A high-speed chase then ensues and turns into a big game of bumper cars.
This fucking truck would have flipped like 5 times already.
Before the police cruisers make a tundra sandwich. The TX shoots a truck full of compressed air with her arm cannon, causing a hell of a traffic jam. She then jackknifes the crane arm and commences to destroy an entire block of cars, buildings, and power poles, while 850 dodges the debris. The Terminator finally hooks up with her and kicks it with the ambulance, eliminating it from the chase. Kate gets a little shaken up while John drives through a neighborhood with a copless car on his tail, and he hits a bouncy ball pit that gives us this sound effect. Meanwhile, the TX gives 850 a tour of an office building. It took 2 weeks to build this showroom for the crane destruction scene, for which it took a mere seconds to destroy.
The building, and as I'm going through it, the whole thing's collapsing.
It's a fairly big structure, so we've had to use explosives.
We'll have the charges going off in the columns as the crane passes through each one.
Rumor has it that Arnold set aside $1.4 million of his own salary to ensure that they would be able to shoot the crane destruction scene.
When they purposely build a complete building for you to destroy it, you can't help but feel good once you've done it, sort of thing, you know, it's just great.
There's about as much destruction here as a fucking Transformers movie.
TX drops him off with some passing firefighters, and he offers to drive while they abandon ship. He catches up with the crane and hops aboard before she blasts the fire truck, and it sounds like a big cat when it explodes. 850 gives TX the axe, but she latches onto the back of the crane. He then takes the wheel and prepares for the Death Star run.
Stay on target.
We're too close.
Stay on target.
He drops the crane hook into a manhole, then hops aboard the Tundra, in time for the cable to pin the front of the truck down and flip it end over end. In a shot that was accomplished with CGI.
It's just way over the top, but it just looks so much better because of it.
It's really difficult to do, and nobody else has done it, or that I have seen. I'm sure they've done, lots of other things, but no cranes.
But Christopher Nolan would do that shit for real later that decade. .850 takes over driving duties from John, and now the TX is super pissed. 850 gives John a physical and checks him for brain injuries, and John is like, "Hey man, remember the good old days?"
Hasta la vista, baby.
That was a different T-101.
What, do you guys come off an assembly line or something?
Exactly.
The cyborg checks to see if Kate has sustained any injuries.
Drop dead, you asshole!
Drop dead!
But just like Ben Richards,
I don't do requests. I'm unable to comply.
John tells him to drop Kate off at the next exit, but coincidentally, she's one of the TX's targets as well. John is like, "Wait a minute, you shouldn't even be here. We stopped Judgment Day."
You only postponed it. Judgment Day is inevitable.
The cyborg's power cell got damaged with the plasma blast, so he does some surgery on himself while filling John in on the new threat. The TX is equipped with onboard weapons and is programmed to destroy Terminators as well as humans.
She's an anti-Terminator. Terminator?
He tosses his Duracell out of the truck and a mini atom bomb goes off. And he tells everyone what Frankie would say in this situation.
Relax.
They make a pit stop and the gas station clerk is trying to watch CSI but isn't having any luck. And 850 goes grocery shopping. Beef jerky, potato chips, snacks, donuts. Ooh, I need some new glasses. What the fuck is taking this guy so long? He wraps up his grocery shopping and gets to checkout. That'll be $122.50, sir.
Talk to the hand.
Okay. Kate has a temper tantrum and calls for help, and the clerk notices her and calls the police, while 850 throws her back in the truck and they hit the road again. John offers Kate a snack and tells her he's kind of a big deal.
Tell her who I am.
John Connor is leader of the worldwide resistance and last best hope of humankind.
And that their driver is a robot from the future. And she's like, this is my sister's engagement ring and I can't get it off. John tells her that the life she knows and takes for granted is not going to last much longer. John then realizes who Kate is.
We made out in Kripke's basement. I cannot believe you remember that.
I only remembered because the next day you were in the news.
And that gives John the epiphany that they were supposed to meet.
Hey, remember Scott, Kate's fiance? Anybody?
He wakes up to a nightmare when he finds Reagan from The Exorcist in his bed, and she kills him off screen just like she did Father Merrin.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
Two detectives, Edwards and Bale, show up at their apartment looking for Kate, and Naughty Scotty volunteers to help them find her. The trio bust through the cemetery gates, and the Terminator takes John to the set of Phantasm to pick up Sarah. Nah, I'm just joshing you. Sarah's dead. She was diagnosed with leukemia and was given 6 months to live, but fought for 2 years just to make sure that the world didn't end. She was cremated in Mexico, but she did leave the crew a nice stash of weapons in her coffin. Kate grabs a pistol and goes all Carrie Mathison on the Terminator and says she's going to shoot him if he doesn't get out of the way.
Go ahead, see what happens.
850 grabs the gun, but it goes off and he spits the bullet out like Bruce Leroy.
Proving he's sure enough not human.
They hear something enter the mausoleum.
Shit, wrong movie. Sorry. You're gonna have to go to Dead Meat for the Phantasm kill count.
She makes a break for it when the police arrive and send in gas grenades. John gets all whiny about the situation and the Terminator lifts his spirits for him.
You're right. You're not the one I want.
Fuck you, fucking machine!
Better.
Meanwhile, Detective Edwards gets word of Kate's location, so the Terminatrix gives him a hand driving. And feeds Detective Bale a fatal knuckle sandwich. Kate catches her breath while the script shoehorns in the daft Dr. Silberman for a cameo.
But he dips the fuck out when he sees a funeral procession start with the 850 as a pallbearer.
I gotta go. You can handle this on your own. Have a nice day. The Terminator opens fire on the police and surrounding vehicles, but the no-killing machine gives us a replay of Terminator 2 with no new toe tags to fill out. He throws the coffin full of guns and a resistance leader into a hearse and goes after Kate. John asks why she's so important and he finds out he's no longer a bachelor in the future.
She's your wife.
Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Oh, here he is. Wait a minute.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What the fuck? Her chariot arrives just in time for 850 to go Rambo on the TX with a rocket launcher. While John gives Kate his creepy pickup line.
You want to live? Come on!
Kate's struggling to understand how the TX was her Romeo, and 850 informs her that he's in a body bag now, sweetheart.
Your fiancé is dead.
Parting is such sweet sorrow. The TX runs after them, T-1000 style, and crouching tigers onto the roof of the hearse. Ready to dance, she cuts in and reaches out for John. The Terminator drives under a semi-trailer and turns the hearse into a convertible, leaving the TX behind. And now she's all hot and bothered. Now this guy right here knows the life expectancy of truck drivers in Terminator movies, so he splits before he joins the truck drivers from the last 2 films. Our trio stops at a campsite and load up Dale's camper from The Walking Dead.
Knock, knock.
Kate's in shock and John asks 850 if he's really sure about the 2 of them.
Your confusion is not rational. She's a healthy female of breeding age.
I don't like her. don't like her?
My database does not encompass the dynamics of human pair bonding.
Kate finds out that her dad is also on the TX's hit list, and it turns out he was the key all along.
This is all about your father. Your father is the one who can shut Skynet down.
John is hell-bent on stopping Judgment Day again and orders the 850 to help him. But 850 is like, you're not my dad, I don't have to listen to you. His mission is to ensure their survival, since the end of the world is happening in about
2 hours and 53 minutes.
But John says he's not going to go hide in a hole somewhere, which 850 answers with some foreshadowing.
It is your destiny.
But John says,
fuck my destiny. Johnny, I don't want any part of it. I never did.
I didn't ask for this honor, and I don't want it. Any of it.
But I don't want any of that.
But 850 says there's an 83% chance he's just full of shit. But Kate pleads with him to listen to John and save her father. He then obeys and says he can get them there in about an hour.
Depending on traffic conditions.
On the road again.
Kate tries to reach her father, but the cell networks are all down, and 850 states that it's Skynet beginning to take over. She asks the Terminator why he's helping them, and she learns that she's John's spouse and second in command in the future. And she reprogrammed him to come back and protect John.
Why didn't he send you back?
He was dead.
Well, that sucks.
Kate just can't help asking how John died, and as it turns out, the killer is in the camper.
I killed you.
Hey, points for having Chris Hardwick in the movie. He's informing Brewster that all their systems have been affected by the virus, and they very well could now be the talking dead, as Brewster watches a prototype HK in test flight. Back on the highway, John assures Kate that they will destroy Skynet and none of this will come to fruition. And she tells John, hey, you're the first boy I ever kissed. They stare at each other for a minute before the Terminator makes things weird.
Your levity is good. It relieves tension and the fear of death.
Way to lighten the mood there, robot.
The TX has beat them to the base and she's now in uniform, walking in all like a Disney princess.
Cold never bothered me anyway.
I'm gonna go ahead and tag the owner of this uniform, Officer Hastings, here, since we witnessed the TX kill everyone she's copied so far. She fingers one of the T1s and brings it to life.
Number 5 is alive.
The T1s here were actually fully functional robots.
Those are really impressive. They're huge and they're very heavy.
There is no digital T1. Everything you see is a completely performing robot.
Much to his chagrin, the bigwigs at the Pentagon order Brewster to launch Skynet to attack the virus and regain control of their systems. He personally delivers the keystroke that seals the world's fate.
Let's pray to God this works.
The system goes down and all hell breaks loose.
What the hell is going on?
Fake Kate calls for her dad just before 850 appears and fills her full of holes.
How they got on a military base with all these weapons, I do not know. 850 probably had him talk to his hand or something.
Lieutenant Brewster then takes a few bullets to the chest just in time for the real Kate to witness it. 850 blasts the TX into an elevator shaft? Ventilation shaft? I don't know. And gives us a variation of his tagline.
She'll be back.
Brewster says the virus has infected Skynet and John corrects him.
Skynet is the virus. It's the reason everything's falling apart.
Einhorn is Finkel. Finkel is Einhorn.
And now it's time for another murder montage.
The T1s open fire on the employees, killing 15 in these shots.
I'm not counting the people in this shot because they are literally just a different angle of the people I already counted in the first shot.
A group of employees wait for the up elevator, but a T1 tells them they're going down.
And as we bring the murder montage to a close, I count 34 people that were wiped out here with the T1s.
Bad humans.
Brewster tells the trio they must get him to his office to get codes out of his safe.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
They get to Brewster's office and he gives them command codes for Crystal Peak, a remote location off-site, stating it's their best chance. He tells them to follow the reactor to the runway to escape, just as an HK fires a rocket into his office. He then succumbs to his injuries while Kate does her Carrie Mathison cry face. And now it's time for the main event.
Run!
In this corner, we've got the TX looking like Dracula getting ready to go into battle. In this corner, we've got the T800, an obsolete design but still packs a hell of a punch. It's time for a robot fight! And there's the bell. 850 going straight for the air tank right off the bat. Oh, he spun her head around a full 360 degrees on that one. Ah, she blocked it this time. Oh, looks like he's taking her to the men's room to flush things out. What do you do when you find Terminators in your bathroom? Just let him finish. 850 coming in with a choke slam, and he says, ooh, kiss my Converse. Oh, you're in trouble now, sweetheart. Better to be pissed off than pissed on, am I right? You're darn tootin'. We got a 1, 2, 3 hit combo. Ah, she just told him to back off, and I think he's down. Oh, there she goes, checking herself out in the mirror, and 850 back in action, giving her a killer swirly there. Oh no, she's got him by the lug nuts. Now she's taking him through this wall, and that wall, and down to the next floor. And it looks like the TX is about to turn this match around and finish things up with a hot blowjob. Oh, a shocking turn of events, ladies and gentlemen. Uh-oh, looks like 850 is in bad shape. She's going in for the curb stomp on his head, and she calls that one the neck breaker, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like she's enjoying fingering the big guy a little too much there. John and Kate make their way to the reactor, and we see a body on the floor as an HK cuts them off. And we see another body against the wall behind it. It fires a pair of rockets at them, but they dive to the floor and Kate grabs a gun and demolishes the HK. And that reminds John of his mama.
You remind me of my mother.
They enter the control room for the reactor and activate the core. Kate sees the TX coming on the monitors, and I see 2 more bodies I can bag. They continue towards the airfield, following the reactor, with the Dragon Lady hot on their tail. She nearly incinerates them before the core's magnetic field kicks in and the TX has an instant attraction. John and Kate stop to spectate as the liquid metal melts from her endo core.
Die, you bitch!
850 comes back online after the bad head TX gave him, and it has him a little shook. The Terminatrix manages to activate her arm saw and deactivate the reactor. John and Kate make it to the hangar, and we see 2 dead bodies on the ground outside. Kate's able to pilot the small aircraft, but before they can take off, John notices 850 has arrived. He's looking constipated and tells John to stay away.
Get away from me!
The TX has corrupted his system, and his mission switches between terminate and abort. John tells him he doesn't want to do this, but
Desire is irrelevant. I am a machine.
John reminds the machine of his mission and tells him he's about to fail that mission. His system begins to overload, then he tosses John aside to Hulk smash a Jeep and then powers himself down. As Kate and John fly away towards Crystal Peak. John readies the C4 and they arrive to find a rundown old bunker with a giant blast door. As they enter the codes Brewster gave them, the door begins to open when suddenly a helicopter crashes through the bunker, revealing the TX has found them. But they lucked out because today is 2-for-1 chopper day. Another bigger helicopter crashes into the TX and John gets giddy when 850 walks out of the wreckage.
I'm back.
But the blast door begins to close and 850 dives to hold the door like a gentleman while Kate and John crawl through. The TX rips herself in half and crawls after them, nearly getting John. The Terminator grabs the demonic machine and gives her a mouthful of his go-go juice.
You are terminated.
The Connors take an elevator down to what looks like Dr. No's lair and discover that this is a fallout shelter full of old technology.
This is a fallout shelter for VIPs.
John realizes that there is no Skynet core here and doesn't understand why 850 led them here.
To live. That was his mission.
Kate suggests to John that they just let the bomb go off before a call comes over the radio. John, now willing to accept his destiny, answers the call.
What the hell is happening? Who's in charge there?
I am.
Nothing gets you the girl like Armageddon, am I right? And 3 billion people die when Skynet launches its attack.
There was no system core. It could not be shut down. Our destiny was never to stop Judgment Day. It was merely to survive it.
And we close on the face of the endoskeleton of 850 as his red eyes fade to black and credits roll.
The battle has just begun.
Well, it looks like I'm gonna be filling out toe tags for a while, so let's get the blackboard out and break this shit down. I have an estimated 3,051,000,000 people that died in Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines. I could only positively identify 10 of the victims, which left us with 3,041,000,000 unidentified. I'm sure there are plenty of animals that need to go in the pet cemetery, but I haven't the faintest idea of what that number would be. And with a runtime of 110 minutes, that left us sending out the meat wagon every 0.0000037 seconds.
Toe tag for best cause of death will have to go to Detective Edwards, because nobody was expecting to see an arm come through his chest whenever the TX decided she wanted to drive to the cemetery.
And that concludes my exam of Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines.
Terminator 3 had the impossible task of following up one of the greatest action movies ever committed to film.
Yeah. Drag, huh?
And hinged on the return of an aging Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No pulse. And while I like some of the ideas they developed for Terminator 3, it ultimately just feels unwarranted and brings a very unbalanced tone to the series.
You've got to be shitting me.
No, I am not shitting you.
The comedy feels cheap and the action isn't nearly as exciting as the other installments.
You're right.
Even a car chase that has enough destruction to make Michael Bay proud just comes off as stale.
While Rise of the Machines did well at the box office, it didn't fare well with critics.
What are you talking about?
It would be followed up in 2009 with Terminator Salvation.
We've been at war since before either of us even existed. You tried killing my mother. You killed my father, Kyle Reese. You will not kill me.
While it does follow the events from Rise of the Machines, Salvation was intended to serve as a reboot for the story, taking place in the year 2018 amongst the war with the machines. It would bring in a new cast and crew and would be the first Terminator movie without Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was a bit busy governing California at the time. But did the absence of the franchise's title cyborg hurt or help?
But I'll be back next time to examine Terminator Salvation. Until then, thanks for liking, commenting, and subscribing, and make sure you hit the notification bell so you can join me next time I fill out the toe tags in Cinema's body bags. Enjoy being alive!